Hello, am I audible? Can anyone respond?
Yep, you are.
Yeah, hello.
Yeah.
Awesome. So let's start with the meet. I'd like to offer you all a warm welcome to the fourth episode in the series, internship series hosted by OCS. Today's workshop is about the Quant. Today we have four Machao seniors among us who had gone through a similar process as we will be going through soon. First, we have Ramanuj Goyal, who is from Dual CSE. He has bagged an intern at Jane Street. Secondly, we have Aryansh Bansal, who is from MT1, who has bagged an intern at Optiver. Thirdly, we have Madhav Goyal from MT1, who has bagged an intern at Quade. And fourthly, we have Shubh Goyal from EE1, who has bagged an intern at JP Morgan and Chase. These panelists will be giving a talk of 10 minutes and we'll have a doubt session at the end. Uh, Without further ado, I'd like to invite our first panelist, Ramanuj sir. Over to you, Ramanuj sir. Mm, probably there's some technical issue from the side of Ramanuj sir. Uh, till the time that gets sorted out, can I please ask Aryan sir to speak first?
Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay, so fine, I'll go first. So, hi everybody, I am Aryansh. Bit of a background about me. I am, as part said, I am from MT1 and I am an intern at October. I am in the role of quant trader. So, firstly, I'll start by telling you all what I do here. So, in the internship program at October, we firstly had 2 weeks of theory classes in which we were taught about the basics of trading, the financial markets and stuff like that. Then we had some simulated trading. So basically simulated trading is that you trade in the real market, all the real data, but you don't have real money so that Optiva doesn't lose money. And so basically you get a feel for how real trading is like. That went on for 2 weeks. And now I'm currently working on a project which is related to trading. So that's basically the outline. And now a bit about the internship test process. So the Optimal tests are a bit different from what you encounter in the other quant companies, I guess. So basically, the first round is a mental maths round in which you get 8 minutes and you are asked like basic mental maths questions like two-digit multiplication and decimal addition, subtraction, stuff like that. Uh, you can practice that as not just for clearing this round, but yeah. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yeah. So as I was saying, like mental maths is not only important for the first round, but for the subsequent rounds as well, as most of these rounds are maths based, and how fast you can calculate generally plays a very important role in how you do well. The next round after that is a series of games like which test different skills like your reaction time and how efficiently you can solve basic problems and basically some math problems like we used to have in NTSC, sort of that, and some other problems which you don't really need to like train for. Then is where after that is where the like proper rounds start, in which you have a market making round, so which is happens in a group. So market making is something which will be explained to you. I can explain the basics if you want. So market making is essentially trading on any underlying anything possible like stock or any random stuff you can make up, and you give a price at which you are willing to buy that thing and which you are willing to sell that thing. So everybody does it, and then trades happen according to that. So that is one round. That this happens in a group. After that, you have a one-on-one session with some trader from October. And finally, on the last day, you have two interviews. One is a technical interview and one is an HR interview. The HR interview is pretty simple, like standard stuff. Basically, ask you about yourself and some basic questions. And the technical interview is basically focused on maths and probability. Like most rounds on October are based on maths and probability. And they ask basic questions. Like my first question in the October interview was, what is the expected value of a standard deck of cards? So stuff like this. And they progressively make it a bit harder. But the problems in general are not so hard. What the tough part is like they give you very less time to solve. Like they only give you like 10-15 seconds to think, and you have to solve all the problems mentally. So that's why you need fast calculation skills. So this is the test part and how to prepare for it. So what this see basically from my branch MT, there's a course in MT which is floated MTL 106, which is a probability and stochastic processes course, which was really helpful for me in preparing for this. But not all branches do take that course. So what you can do is study probability. Most of you guys would be familiar from the probability from 11th, 12th. And what you can do is you can study probability from other sources like just Google stuff. Like you don't need to study in-depth theory. You should be familiar with the basic stuff like distributions, probability distributions, and expectation values and averages and stuff like that. There are various sources on the internet you can go to, and various even you can just search on YouTube channels. And for problem solving, there is a wonderful site called Brainstellar. I practiced problems on that mainly. And there are one or two other resources if you want. I'll share it with you guys. That was mainly my preparation, but what I want to tell you is that the problems are not too tough. Your main focus should be on being clear on all the topics and making decisions fast. That is what they go for. So basically, you need to calculate fast, and based on the reasoning you have, you should be able to make decisions quickly. And you should also be able to explain your rationale. So basically, if they ask you any question, you should be able to come up with a logical answer, and you should be able to explain that answer well. And that is very important. So yeah, that is majorly it. And any other stuff, parts that I should talk about?
Could you also talk about the work culture and your experience at Optiver?
Cool, cool. So here at October, what I found was there is a very nice culture. People are generally very collaborative, and there is a lot of transparency in the company, which you generally don't find in other companies. Like even the interns, we are exposed to a lot of information, which could probably be dangerous if it got leaked from October. And there is a lot of collaboration. Like you can go to the senior most traders and ask for help, and they will be glad to help. Like I work in my team, I can ask any trader on the floor, and he or she would be willing to help me in solving any of my doubts. Like there's not really a hierarchy, and the pay you get is also based on how well you do. So there's a system at Optiva that you can grow very fast here. Like the your bonuses and your job upgrades are not dependent on any one person or your like basically personal relationships. It depends on how well you perform. It's a very transparent and clear system, which is very good for us. And also the work-life balance is pretty good. Like when you're in the office, you need to work hard. That is true. But outside of it, you can have a good time. And even in the office, like Optiva offers you various stuff. Like there's good food here. There's a weekly massage system, and they really focus. You can play various games like chess. There's a weekly chess evening. There are weekly drinks. So there's a lot of good stuff as well. So that is very nice here, which I think a lot of other companies don't have. So and that is it. And I can also talk about like your internship you would probably be offered an intern role at Amsterdam if you do get it. So like Amsterdam, the weather is really nice in Amsterdam during this time. So it's really a good time to be here. Yeah.
Thank you
Anything
so much.
else?
That's all. Thank you.
Yeah.
Amsterdam is certainly very exciting, and all those details you shared will certainly help us navigate through our internship processes better. Next, I'd like to call up
Thank you.
Madhav sir to talk. A reminder, he's from MT1 and he has bagged an intern at Quade. Over to you, Madhav sir. Madhav sir, you're not audible. Okay, there seem to be some technical issues from Madhav sir's side as well. Can I now invite Shubh sir? Shubh sir, can you go on?
Yeah, am I audible?
Yeah. I'd like to
Yeah.
remind you all, Shubh sir has bagged an intern at JP Morgan and Chase, and he's from the E1 department.
So, hi guys. I hope you are doing well and enjoying your summer vacations. And as said by Parth, I am Shobh and I'm from electrical department and I am interning at JP Morgan Chase and Company right now in the Mumbai office. So little bit about the firm. So like it's not an HFT first of all. Like it's a little bit different from the other panelists company. So JP Morgan Chase basically an investment bank. So it has two parts: JP Morgan and Chase Bank. So Chase is basically the commercial part of the bank, and JP Morgan does the wholesale banking. And in like in JP Morgan, there are three divisions: corporate investment bank, and commercial banking, and asset and wealth management. And I am in the corporate investment banking risk sector basically. So I am in the counterparty credit risk QR team. So my team basically develops model to estimate risk and mitigate them, like if a counterparty to a transaction defaults before the final maturity of a trade. So that's a little background of the firm. And for the internship process, like I'm going to break the process into three parts. So first stage is basically the resume shortlisting process. So you all would need to, create, make your resumes on OCS portal. I guess you will have a separate session for it. So those resumes then get submitted to companies, and they it's basically a screening process. um, JPMC is, I'd say, quite lenient about this stage. Like, hardly anyone gets out at this stage of the process. This doesn't apply to the other HFTs. So, like the top HFTs do keep a bar on CG and J rank, but JPMC is pretty lenient about this. So after the resume screening process comes the online test. So the online test consists of two parts. One is the coding part, and the other is the maths or probability part. So as Aryan said, MTL 106 does help in this part. And if you have done MTL 106, you can brush up some of its concepts and just practice problems. And even if you haven't done, like, this course is on NPTL as well. Like, if you want to, you can just go through, like, this skim over the course. And also I used two books for preparation. One was, I guess, a practical guide to quantitative finance by Feng, and other was 50 challenging problems in probability. These are, like, very good books, I'd say. Like, if you are preparing for quant, you should definitely do them. Like, it has, the book by Feng also has theory, so it's a good read, I'd say. And for coding tests, like, I did code forces and lead code mainly. And you can just like, important thing is DSA basically, and you can use lead code or interview bit for it. And then comes the interview round. For interview, there are three rounds. There were three rounds in my time. So first one was brain teaser come probability round, where they ask, like, they ask basic probability questions. And in it, they also asked a DSA question, which was, like, pretty basic. Next was programming round. So in this round, like, for the brain teaser round, you could again use Brainsteller for practice. It's a very good website. Then in the second round was programming round, where they ask questions from object-oriented programming in C++. I'd say that this topic is extremely important. And apart from quant companies, a lot of software companies also ask questions from this topic. So you should really you know go over this topic before the process. And uh, yep. And the last round was HR round. So HR round is basically formality round. So they just ask general questions about you. And um yeah, that's all. And, like, for resume, focus on projects and scholastic achievements more, because, like, even if you don't have PURs, and it doesn't really matter for this type of role. Like, I have some friends whose resumes were pretty much half empty, and they still bagged uh, a very good internship. So just don't fill your resume for the sake of it. Keep important points in it. And that's all. Like, in the end, I would just, my most important advice would be to just remain mentally strong for the whole process. This process could become very overwhelming and draining for some. And just have a group of friends whom you can talk to, and discuss problems or share resources, and just stay away from toxicity. The environment becomes very toxic during this time. Yep, that's all. Just prepare for the best and be prepared for the worst. That's all I say. All the best. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sukh sir. That was definitely motivating, and all those fun day will definitely help us manage our internship process better. Next up, I'd like to call Ramanuj sir to speak. A reminder: Ramanuj sir is from the CS5 department, and he has bagged an intern at Jane Street. Over to you, Ramanuj sir. You're not, sir. You're still not audible, sir. Is it just for me or? Uh,
Hello, am I audible?
yes, you are very audible, sir.
Okay, thank God. There's like five different microphones I have to choose from. So, okay. Yeah, so uh, hello, as Parth said, I'm Ramanuj. So, yeah, let me just start off with the whole internship, interviewing, etc. process. So, the first thing I'd like to say about it is there's a significant amount of luck involved in internships. So, even if you're very well prepared, then you can not get it, and even if you're not very well prepared, you can still get in. So take that into account when you're going for the internships. And like specifically for Jane Street, I think, yeah, the process had places where you can easily mess up even if you are prepared, and then you lose the internship. So yeah, as for the shortlisting process, well, shortlisting is like pretty lenient in some sense. You need a good CG, but not a top of the class CG. 8.5 above should be fine if you're in a circuital branch. Um, they also shortlist non-circuital branches, but well, in non-circuital branches, generally they like take top 2-3 DRs and something like that. So um, if you're shortlisted, after that, generally there is 4 to 5 interviews, and nothing like a online test. So it's just interviews with full timers, and they'll be one-on-one mostly. And the starting ones are simple probability questions. So MTL 106, as like the other panelists also said, helps in that. And yeah, the simple probability questions are, in a sense, you don't need to have a very good calculation in it. Having a just estimating the values in your head works fine most of the time. And you don't even actually need that strong MTL 106 in some sense. Like um having good MTL 106 does help, but it is not a prerequisite. So um what can I say about this? Yeah, I think like the best equivalent I would find to the interview process is not a course, but it's like poker or something. So if you're good at poker, and not in the sense that you can have a straight face every time, but if you're good at let's say calculating, okay, if in this period should I fold my cards, or what's the probability here that I'll win if I don't fold my cards or something like that, then you have a better chance at getting the internship. As to how to practice for this, mm, you can again practice things like MTL 106, but I feel like doing maths on a pen and paper is kind of different to how you do it here. It's not, you don't need to actually get to a correct numerical answer in any case. You just want to have a good ability to estimate things. So after like the simple probability interviews, there are other interviews which is just one probability question and just stretched throughout the interview. And like these are 3 such interviews, I think. And yeah, these will be very interactive. So talk to the interviewer who will be a full timer, and like talk to them a lot. Like, even if you can't figure anything out, just say what's on your mind right now. And if you can't do anything, they'll slowly give you more hints and they'll guide you towards the answer. So in that sense, you actually don't even have to get to the correct answer like immediately, or you know have a sense of guess the answer right away. But you need to have an ability to understand the depth of the question. In some sense, it gets pretty complicated. I can't give you the exact questions, but um, yeah, I think again it's similar to probability, but a bit of, in a sense, game theory types. I haven't studied game theory, so I wouldn't know. But like something like poker. So, uh, in, like when compared to adversaries, how would you perform in this situation or not? So yeah, having a sense of those things is very important. The sites that other panelists mentions, like Brainstellar and all of those, they are like, I think they're helpful. Like, they will help you when you're doing the interviews. But yeah, you wouldn't get any questions that are like directly picked from there, or like even related to something like a question on Brainstellar. So keep that in mind. So yeah, I think if you ace your interviews, you have a pretty good chance of getting into Jane Street. But don't be disheartened if you like fail an interview. It's somewhat like, if that specific question you can't guess the right idea, then you fail. But yeah, that can happen to anyone. So it's again a lot based on luck. So yeah, thanks, I guess, for that. And person can start. Yeah, I'm done.
Thank you so much for sharing your experience and all those steps. I'd like to now call upon the last panelist. Are the technical issues sorted for him?
Hello, am I audible right now?
Yes, Madhav sir, you're audible. Devansh, could you please put Madhav sir in spotlight? Meanwhile, a reminder, Madhav sir is from MT1 department and he has bagged an intern in Quade. Over to you, Madhav sir.
So, hi everyone. I am Madhav. I am in MT1 and I am currently interning at Quade. So, most of the panelists already summarized what's the process look like. So, I'll just tell the few points that I think you should know. So, the internship process. So, basically, first is resume shortlisting, then is the tests, and then you get the interviews. So, firstly, for Quant resume shortlisting, it you don't have to put that much effort in resume to be shortlisted, because they mostly do it on the CG basis and your projects. So if you have done good projects, write it in a very crisp and a good way, and write more about your projects, and don't write anything that you don't know about your project, and don't write any fuzzy project like जो तुम्हें पता नहीं है, because they do ask sometimes in interview what do you do in your project. So generally, but sometimes they do ask in HR interview, so it shows a bad impression if you don't know about your own project that you write on your resume. Mostly as Shubh said, mostly the project section and the scholastic achievement section, it only matters in Quant. Although in other type of roles, your POR, your extracurricular activities, these kind of things do matter, but in Quant it doesn't really matter. You can just skip those sections or write just 1-2 lines in those sections. Write your scholastic achievement section and project section very well, so that you get shortlisted in more companies. So if you have a good CG, then you won't get any trouble in getting shortlisted. So that's a very easy thing. Just when the resume shortlisting portal opens, give it 2 or 3 days. Write your resume like very properly and be precise, and you will do well in that process. The main thing is that tests, because you get a shortlist for the interview only when you clear the test. So this is for many of the firms. For Quade, it's not the case. They just did resume shortlisting and directly to the interviews. They did many shortlists this time. So for my time, I'm not the correct guy to talk about the test for Quade, but I'll just generally talk about how the quant tests look like for other generally Indian HFT firms like NK Securities, Graviton, and Quade. So in these, you have a first you have a coding test for systems role, and you have a probability and a just aptitude test for a quant role. And sometimes they ask competitive programming type questions in quant role also, so you have to be prepared for that. So I think this is the thing where you have to put the most effort to clear the test, because getting shortlist for the interview is the like more difficult task than performing in the interview, I think. So basically prepare well in these areas. You can prepare for competitive programming for these firms, and you can also prepare like all these guys said, these two books, they are very good books and they do help. They sometimes they directly ask you question from that book only. And one other thing that I would like to mention is a site called Brainsteller. They have very good questions in it. You can try easy, medium, and hard. And generally they ask medium type of level of questions only from the Brainsteller, but you can also do hard questions for your own practice. But you should definitely do easy and medium in the Brainsteller. I think that will really help in your test process. Then comes the interviewing part. Interviewing is same as the tests only. They just increase the level of question from the test, and they ask what are your ideas. They just want to listen your approach, how you approach the question. They ask the questions of the same level, the same kind of questions, so you don't have to prepare differently for the interview. You just have to speak your ideas. That's really simple in the interview. You don't have to be afraid about interviews, because many people in second year they get really afraid, yaar interview mein kaise karenge. So it's not that difficult. And HR interview is also very chill, so just be confident and you will do well. uh, Other than that, talking about my experience at Quade right now, so they have a very good culture in that everyone is evaluated based on their performance. Not there is not any seniority in Quade. And also as an intern, I'm also working on a very good project. So they do give good projects to interns also. So I have a very say I'll say I have a very good learning curve. So because you have to work like 8 9 10 hours a day, so you have uh, not 9 10, yeah, 9 10 hours a day, so you will get a lot of knowledge about the industry, how the trading works in a high frequency trading firm, how they do the things. You learn a lot about finance. So I'm doing a project on options, so I know a lot about them and how the market behaves. So that's a very good part, I will say. Other than that, work culture, they have a good culture in the sense they do some fun Friday kind of a thing on Friday. And people generally interns generally play TT and foosball all the time. So they do have a very good culture, but you have to work because you have deliverables for the week. For my group it is this type, so you have to work in weekdays very harder. You can chill on weekends. There is no kind of pressure for you on weekends, but on weekdays you have to work really hard. Other than that, I don't think so I missed anything. Parth, can you point out if I missed anything?
No, I think you've covered pretty much everything.
Yeah. So
So
good luck
thank you
for
so much.
the interview or the preparation, guys, and bye bye.
Thank you so much for sharing your valuable experience, Madhav sir. The tips and tricks will definitely help us through our process. We now open the stage to questions. You can send your questions through the Q&A box or through the chat. And Devansh, could you also please enable mic for everyone so that they can ask questions by turning on their mics? I do not see any questions yet. We'll keep the meet open for another 5-7 minutes. Please send in your questions. Just got a question. Akshat Chaudhary is asking, are these companies open for dual degree in third year? Would any of you like to take up this question? Ramanut sir?
Yeah, sure. For dual degree, if you want to go in quant, you have basically three options. One of them, like at least last year, one of them is NK Securities. Another one is Jane Street, and the third one is Optiver. So these three will be open for you in dual degree. And yeah, apart from dual degree, like apart from quant, other dual degree things that you get are, I think there is Uber and some startups which I don't remember the name of, but yeah, you don't get that many options as dual degree. So I mean, in a sense, you aren't expected to get an intern in this time frame. You have two chances, and like the second chance is probably the one where you get the intern most likely. So like if you get an intern, well and good, but if you don't get an intern, well, don't feel bad about it. You aren't supposed to get an intern in some sense.
I hope that answered your question, Akshat. Did Ramanut sir mention WorldCont? I remember WorldCont also opens for dual degree students in third year.
Oh yeah, WordCount also opens for dual degree students. They had a exam at 3 o'clock in the 3 a.m. or something, so I didn't register.
Could the panelists please type the names of the books and websites they mentioned in the chat for reference? I've also just enabled the option of unmuting yourself for everyone. Feel free to unmute and ask your questions. I don't see any questions. I think it's time to wrap up the workshop. Please interrupt me if I missed your question. I'd like to thank all the panelists for taking out the time. Do we have another question? Okay. We do have another question. Which companies have only math questions and which companies have coding tests? Would you answer for your specific companies or your experience, please?
So Optiver doesn't have any programming questions. It only has maths and probability.
For JP Morgan again, like there are two parts, both probability and coding. Like the coding test is not, it's pretty basic. Like if you guys do code forces, pretty much drift to a level. So that's not an issue for JPMC.
For Quade, there are two roles. One is system roles, one is quant role. So for a quantitative researcher role, they only ask probability and basic aptitude. For systems role, they do ask sometimes computer architecture and coding questions. I know you are in second year, so you just completed your second year, so you don't know computer architecture and operating systems. So you can just tell them I didn't study that in my college, so they will be fine. They just stick to the coding questions in the systems role then.
For Chain Street, they don't ask any coding questions because coding isn't open to us, and like the software development isn't open to us. For trading, they do ask only math questions. There is nothing related to coding, and like the math questions are also, as I told you, not strictly math questions. It's a bit of game theory-ish, like poker type questions. I also applied for NK Securities, so I'll also share my experience with that. NK Securities is pretty similar to Quade, that it has one trading and the other software. And again, in the software, they do ask competitive programming as well as OS and architecture to some extent. And yeah, in my opinion, if you don't know the answers to these, you can just say, and they'll also, like, if you have done some project, they'll ask you to, they'll ask similar questions in the direction of that project. And as for math questions, like in the quantitative part, in the trading part, they only usually ask the math questions, and they're like similar to Brainsteller and stuff as others, like similar to Quad in some sense, I guess, although I didn't get Quad. So
Thank you so much. I hope that answers your question, Herschel. I think it's about time to wrap up the workshop. I'd like to again thank the panelists so much for taking out time from their busy schedules. Your experiences and the tips will definitely help us navigate the internship process better for ourselves. With this, I'd like to end the session. Thank you so much again.
Yep. Thanks a lot. All the best.
thank you. All the best.
All the best, guys. Bye bye.